Build back better.
We build back better.
To build back better.
Build back better.
To build it back better.
Build back better.
How do we build back better?
To build back better than before.
Build back better.
Building back better.
And build it back better.
Build back better.
Build back better. Blah, blah, blah.
We can all see that the leaders of each individual country on this planet are working together to reach the same goals, even though not one of them asked any of us if that was okay. But how does this network of managers operate? Why have they all joined together? In this video, we will postulate on the humanity of our owners and perhaps discover if they themselves live in fear for their own lives and have thus been manipulated into serving a dark force, as have many of us. Today, we take a look at the TV show Colony, in defense of the managerial class. Naturally, we'll be indulging in a wee spot of spoilers.
Spoils for reals.
Conduct the candidate to the center of the lodge and cause him to kneel for the benefit.
Who is this?
A poor candidate in a state of darkness. Comes of his own free will. Perfectly prepared. Humbly soliciting to be admitted to the mysteries and privileges.
Recite the solemn oath.
Never to reveal our secrets, under no less a penalty than my throat be cut across, my tongue be torn out by its root, or that I be buried in sand, a cable's length from shore.
Why should we try and see the world through the eyes of the people who are quite clearly working as hard as they can to destroy and enslave us? Have they all been Epsteined? Are they all being blackmailed to do evil acts? Surely not all of them. Of course, there are many who would gladly serve the God of this world in return for material wealth. Let's use this insightful television program to find some enlightenment. In this show from 2016, the entire world is in lockdown. Quite interesting. Aliens have invaded, and they are much, much higher on the food chain than us. This is only the story of the show. It's not important for our purposes in trying to understand the managerial class who push the buttons in our real lives. The invaders have searched the population for the perfect candidates, people who will act as their managers while they stay separated from the world. We meet one of these candidates named Alan Snyder as he ekes out a lowly existence as an administrator for an education institution.
Good morning, Alan.
Good morning.
We are very excited to talk to you.
We're recruiting officers.
We're with an agency called the Institute for Global Advancement.
You're a man of vastly untapped potential, Alan. Your current employment in no way suits your talents.
You were selected from a pool of tens of thousands of people.
I don't recall applying for anything.
You didn't. Our clients have an algorithm that pre-selects their clientele for them.
And you happen to be the perfect man for the job.
All right.
The recruitment process involved a highly advanced algorithm, which selected Snyder by data mining all the information available through the internet. Social media, digital employment information, government records, and so forth.
You own 2 properties, a 1-bedroom condominium and a home where you used to live with your wife and your daughter. You make your alimony payments on time, you help in paying for your daughter's private high school education, and you carry no unsecured debt.
How do
You manage all this by making $72,800 a year as a purchasing manager for an unranked secondary education institution.
How do you know all this? Who the hell are you?
This data mining is exactly what happens in real life. Every single human is being profiled by data companies to the point where they believe they can predict a person's behavior, what choices they will make, if they will side with the agenda or refuse.
How do you know all this? Who the hell are you?
And here comes the blackmail.
You've also managed over a period of 9 years to divert a large amount of cash from this institution into an account held in the name of your long-deceased paternal uncle, also named Alan Snyder.
In the show, Snyder has been caught embezzling funds from his job into his own private accounts. This happens in real life too. Candidates are caught performing illegal activities and then blackmailed into working for the agenda. The worse the crime, the better, because the candidate will not survive exposure to the public, especially if the crime is of a sexual nature, even involving minors. You get the idea. And this is exactly what Jeffrey Epstein was doing, gathering sexually explicit blackmail material on powerful people to then force them to work for his agenda. Who did Epstein work for is the real question though.
Alan, even great men make 2 or 3 critical mistakes in their lives.
Once they've threatened Snyder, they then go easy and tell him he's a great man, bound for great deeds.
You don't get where I'm sitting by only making 2 or 3 mistakes.
It's the choices you make today that will determine your future.
All you have to do is say yes.
Yes to what, exactly?
We skip forwards to a time when Snyder has assumed his role as manager. Note the affluent lifestyle used to draw greedy people in before the trap takes hold of them. This life of splendor will continue to soften the heart of a newly recruited manager. Perhaps they are being forced to work for the bad guys, but hey, why not enjoy themselves in this luxurious prison world? Bowman here is a former federal police officer. He was caught doing something illegal and now is involuntarily recruited into helping the manager of his particular district or county or shire or country.
Hi, Will. How you doing? Sorry about all this. I hope you weren't treated too poorly.
Now, Snyder has learned well. Use threats and intimidation to show your power over someone. Then be nice to them as long as they play along.
Come on, Captain LaGarza. We don't need those. Sorry. Alan Schneider. I'm the proxy governor of our little block here.
Why am I here?
To turn crisis into opportunity.
There is the favourite philosophy of the psychopathic agenda, order out of chaos. They seem to always forget that it's an act of evil to bring that chaos about in the first place. Snyder is asked how he lives with betraying his own kind.
How do you do it, Snyder? Slap on the suit and smile over your own kind?
I'm doing what anybody with a brain would do in this situation. I'm taking advantage of my opportunities.
His reply is simple. I'm playing with the cards I've been dealt. His life is under threat too, but by playing their game, he stays alive and lives very comfortably to boot.
This is a big moment for your family. You're going to have access to things that were previously unavailable.
Here is the good guy pitch. Get everything you ever wanted in this world. Money, security, high-class privileged living above the peasants.
For instance, your children will be assigned private tutors. You'll also be afforded certain other luxuries, round-the-clock security from Homeland, among them.
Which we need as collaborators.
Look, I know it might not seem it, but our hosts are here for our benefit.
Snyder believes now that the agenda he's working for is for the good of humanity.
Come out there with me, Snyder. Let me show you a few things and then tell me if you still believe that.
There need to be some controls in place, otherwise it'd be anarchy.
Yes, it is harsh. Yes, there are evil deeds perpetrated on innocent people, but it would be far worse without them. It would be anarchy.
You want my help? We want our son back.
Then there are rewards for good behaviour. Snyder offers Bowman something he really wants, to be given to him after loyal work.
Good things come to the loyal. We help them, they help us. You help me, I help you.
Snyder allows the Bowmans to open their old bar up again.
As promised.
Bowman asks, "What's your stake in all this?"
Can I ask you something?
Sure, what's that?
What's your stake in all of this?
Snyder answers,
In my world, there are a lot of competing theories on governance. I believe that the softer hand is more effective. Bringing back places like this is one of the ways we give everyone something to put their energy into. That's good for me. It's good for you.
give the masses their recreation. Bread and circuses, a very old tradition among governments to distract people from things they don't like about their worlds. Give people an outlet, a little enjoyment, and they will have used some of the steam up they could otherwise use to cause problems for the agenda.
You were right, Will, we sold out. There's got to be another way, something that doesn't have us working for Snyder.
Where's all this coming from? What happened? I thought we agreed.
We rationalized, but we can't trust him. We sold our souls, and we may never get anything in return.
Yes, we will.
The Bowmans here are rationalising their part in working for the agenda.
We've tried everything. Look, it's killing me working for these. But Snyder likes me and I'm learning things that can help us.
They need to survive. If they don't work for the agenda, then their lives are threatened.
In all the different jobs that I've had, I've always been valued for being able to see the truth about things. But that's become a lot harder since the arrival. We're taught lies which we are forced to regurgitate.
Why are you telling me this?
Because that's our world now, Will.
This manager can be equated with the boss of an intelligence organisation, tasked with protecting the agenda first and the people second.
We lie to everyone. We lie to our friends and our colleagues and our family. We lie out of fear. We lie to protect ourselves.
Because that's how we survive.
People have a psychological need to find the supervillain, but in my experience, reality is a lot more complicated.
She rationalises her part she plays by believing there is no supervillain doing evil things in the world. It is much more complicated than that, when really she is working for the supervillain, a shadowy elite organisation with their agenda.
You've never brought me behind the curtain before. Why now?
Well, you were forced to take this job, but there are legitimate reasons for you to be doing it.
The managers all understand they are there involuntarily, to begin with. Of course, they may by now be true believers in the agenda, or at least loyal workers, but they know they were once threatened, and thus have been forced to work for the agenda.
Morality is complicated for people in our position.
No, morality is never complicated. It is your actions, what you choose to do to save your own skin, that makes things complicated.
So right now, the resistance is just a nuisance. But if in 6 months' time all these groups coalesce around Geronimo, it's really going to be dangerous.
What they are talking about here is the potential for people who are resisting the agenda to become more powerful by working together. There are small groups, pockets of people resisting, which pose no threat. But if they all come together...
You think they can do real damage?
Well, not to our visitors, but to us. To all the people living here in this block. I mean, if this resistance miraculously managed to do something meaningful, do you have any idea the kind of retribution that would rain down upon us? There's no version of an effective resistance. There's just misguided idealism that leads to death and despair.
Boss Lady is explaining that the resistance can't do any damage to the agenda, to the organisation behind the agenda. But if they start resisting in big ways, then the agenda will come down hard on them and on everyone else. Boss Lady here believes that by stopping the resistance, by working for the agenda and doing their dirty work, she is actually protecting people from a worse fate. If she can stop resistance with minimal force, she stops the agenda from using maximum force. This appears to have been played out in real life just recently. There was a threat made to the world. A virus was released, seemingly engineered to do more damage than it usually does. The threat was leveled at the managerial class of the world. Obey your orders. Don't get any ideas of your own. Follow the agenda. Impose these ridiculous and illogical rules and restrictions, or else perhaps a real virus will be released, one that will truly devastate the populations. And it will be the fault of the managerial class for not using minimum force to abate the agenda using maximum force. Take here, for example, when the resistance has now caused a lot more problems, making the New World Order angry.
They're destroying our city. Again. What's the point of killing people who had nothing to do with this?
Retribution. They're reminding us of who is the bug and who is the kid with the magnifying glass.
Here is a possible explanation for the last 2 years of pandemic insanity. These are the threats that hang over the heads of those managers who have second thoughts, who may start listening to their conscience.
Who's Geronimo?
We're Geronimo.
You're Geronimo?
Proxy.
Snyder, that's right. The two of you are Geronimo?
Yes.
Who were you working for?
No one.
We were working for every citizen of this block, Nazi collaborator.
You think it's a good idea for you to be saying things like that to me?
You're gonna kill us anyway.
This is how the managerial class views us. The civilians who think they are fighting the New World Order, but really just making things worse.
Why did you do it?
We didn't have guns. We had something more powerful. We had words and images. We had the power to get inside people's heads.
That's great. So you inspired real insurgents running around down the flats, killing innocent people in your name. That's real noble.
In a hopeless world of the boots stomping on a human face forever, this is how some people in the managerial class think they are helping others. Facilitate the New World Order. Give them what they want so that more people may live. Fight against them and bring their wrath down upon all of us.
Seriously, how are you doing what you're doing? You are not one of them. You are one of us.
We're done. Let's go. Do you remember the first few days after the arrival?
Do I remember? I lost half my family.
So did a lot of people. Until I ended that. I brought order and stability to this block. But now, I need to prove to my bosses that my block is still under control. And if I don't, it's going to mean more misery for all of us. So, I need a patsy. Someone to take the fall in public. I need some theatrics. That's your specialty.
The managerial class are caught between humanity and the people who own and control the world. They may have been forced, coerced, blackmailed, dragged unwillingly into their positions, but they are there now regardless. Now they have a choice whether to go against their blackmailers and lose their lives, or their families' lives, or to go along with the regime, protecting the people under them from more extreme measures.
After the arrival, the Transitional Authority worked very closely with our new allies to bring about the law and order that this colony so loudly demanded. The freedoms you enjoy are not a given. They are provided at the pleasure of our hosts. Anyone, everyone, hearing these words can help to root out the terrorists who would seek to upset the order and balance we now enjoy. After considering all the facts of this case, this tribunal finds the accused guilty. It is the ruling of this court that the accused is hereby sentenced to death. Sentence to be carried out immediately. What's the problem?
What was the gain in doing that?
It's called catharsis. The public gets appeased and we remind them that law and order will endure in this block.
What you did is just gonna people off.
Let them be angry. They're alive and they're still relatively free. You think I martyred him, but I believe self-interest rules the day. And when people see the consequences of participating in the resistance, they're going to think twice before getting involved themselves.
I hope you're right.
Helena, what a pleasant surprise.
Hello, Alan.
Always good to see you, of course.
Well, I wanted to let you know that the Chief Minister of the Pacific Coast is coming to our colony for the anniversary of the arrival.
Here? Why? Is there going to be some kind of celebration?
Not exactly, no. More like a performance review.
Is this perhaps some insight into how managers interact with each other behind the scenes?
I think things are going very well here as of late. We're meeting all of our worker quotas. Since the Geronimo trial, we've had no significant insurrection.
I'm not the one you need to convince.
Of course. I just want you to know that I stand behind my work.
Tell me, Alan, do you think that anyone is afraid to do anything in your block?
They gave us the power to govern our own way.
Yes, but they also made it quite clear we must maintain order.
Well, I don't think that order comes from fear. It comes from providing people with a decent quality of life.
But remember what George Orwell said.
What was that?
If you want a vision of the future, imagine a boot stamping on a human face forever.
Precisely my point. This situation is bad enough. We don't need to make it worse.
All right, Alan. Look, I just came by to give you a heads up. The Chief Minister will be here and he will be reviewing everything that's going on around here. And you can explain your policies to him. Oh, and you should know, no one else is doing it your way.
Let's take a look at the fear that drives our managers.
Alan, what's going on?
How you doing, Nolan?
I'm good.
There's some proposal that's gone to Helena's office to take over the block with a new direction. You've heard nothing about this proposal. No one approached you.
No, nobody, nothing.
I find that hard to believe.
Alan, I promise, this is the first I've heard of this.
Don't forget who gave you that cozy office of yours.
Alan, truly, as far as I know, everybody up here is fully behind you.
With daggers in hand.
They could be replaced at any moment. This lady is about to join the Circle.
Your initiation ceremony, tomorrow. Everybody's gonna see that you're being welcomed into the Circle, and I don't want to blow that.
You are about to enter a select group. The question for humanity is not where we have been, it's where we are going. Are you prepared to accept that truth?
Yes, I am.
Here is one way the managerial class creates stronger bonds together. The secret society, the big club.
Will you safeguard the secrets of our movement? even from friends and family? And do you accept that the punishment for violating your oaths will fall not just upon you, but upon everyone you love?
I do.
Then rise, Maddie Kenner, and receive your welcome into the greatest day. Welcome.
Welcome.
It's time.
She takes the oath, and then the secret society gives her an experience. It could have been some psychedelic drugs that gave her a trip that she'd never had before. Or maybe, just maybe, something actually appeared to her. Something happened at some kind of witchcraft ritual. Whatever the case, this new member has had some kind of spiritual experience, real or imagined, and they now have made a true believer out of her. She's aware of how expendable she is, and they still have blackmail on her, but now she has a real stake in the cause of our overlords. The society's religion might actually have some spiritual truth, and she wants to know more. Or perhaps if she did see some kind of familiar spirit that threatened her, now she is in mortal fear for her life and beyond. Where can she turn to when the bosses of this world and terrifying demons in the world we can't see are terrorizing her? The Bible tells us that Jesus is the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. There is no other above God. God commands all underneath him. No evil presence or devil can withstand God. God will protect his beloved. God will be your saviour if only you'll believe in his Son and be freed. The Bible also says we should pray for our leaders. Titus 3 says that we are to be subject to principalities and powers, to obey magistrates, to be ready to every good work, to speak evil of no man, to be no brawlers, but gentle, showing all meekness unto all men. For we ourselves also were sometimes foolish, disobedient, deceived, serving diverse lusts and pleasures, living in malice and envy, hateful and hating one another. But after that, the kindness and love of God our Saviour toward men appeared. The Apostle Paul says, I exhort therefore that first of all, supplications, prayers, intercessions, and giving of thanks be made for all men, for kings, and for all that are in authority, that we may lead a quiet and peaceable life in all godliness and honesty. For this is good and acceptable in the sight of God our Saviour, who will have all men to be saved and to come unto the knowledge of the truth. In the end, why did they make this television series? Did they put this out there so that people like us will feel sorry for them? Did they make this show for the managerial class themselves so they can feel better about what they're doing? These are the people who have the ability to affect change in the system. The invaders of cities in ancient times would kill the traitors who opened the city gates for them. This was to stop the traitors from turning on the invaders next time. This is because the traitors are important people. They hold the keys to the system. They must be reached. They must be given the important information. They will help us if we reach them.
And Jesus lifted up his eyes and said, Father, I thank thee that thou hast heard me. And I knew that thou hearest me always, but because of the people which stand by I said it, that they may believe that thou hast sent me. And when he thus had spoken, he cried with a loud voice, Lazarus, come forth. And he that was dead came forth, bound hand and foot with grave clothes.
They killed everyone. You work for them.
So does your father. So does everyone who is holding out hope that someday things